not tall, but I am a little taller than that. All right, well, here we are at the beginning of December, and the malls are plastered with tinsel and lights and glitter, and Starbucks has rolled out their Christmas cups, and my personal weakness, the eggnog latte. I may have had one this morning, full disclosure. Christmas music is piping through everywhere. And I want to take a quick informal poll. How many of you have been listening to Christmas music since, early November? Okay, a few of you. How many, right after Remembrance Day, you're like, oh, it's go time? How many of you are maybe Christmas Eve? Maybe. Okay, a few of you. I'm not judging. Well, I'm not judging publicly. I'm judging privately. But I did read a recent study that I found interesting, which said that people who listen to Christmas music earlier actually experience more stress over the holidays. Yeah. Some of you are like, justification for waiting. All right. Well, that made me a little curious as to why that is, what makes that kind of a stressful thing as opposed to a joyful thing, which I think is what we're looking for when we listen to Christmas music. My non-scientific survey of Christmas music this season kind of reveals, I think, a little bit of what we're looking for. So words like cozy, warm, bright. I think we're maybe looking for a sense of happiness, for maybe some sense of childhood returned. Those are themes that come up frequently. But I think the stress comes in because so often what we find instead of those things is we find noise, we find headaches and stress, and for some of us, maybe a jolly to-do list that makes us want to crawl in a window. Anyone? Final assignments? Yeah? Marking. Hallelujah. Right, Ken? Yeah. And then we go into the stores, and I think we start to feel like we need to rewrite some songs even, right? I look it up and saw a sail of things without which I knew Christmas would fail. So I filled up my cart with a faint turquoise tree and a branch with a bird on it and 15 wheels of brie. Okay? Hard sell, hard sell, hard sell, hard sell. The more I buy, the more I am compelled. Right? That's kind of how we might start to feel over Christmas. And yet, despite all of the noise and pressure, sometimes the feeling we're missing out on something, we're also somehow supposed to embody Christmas spirit, whatever that is. What does that even mean? How can a successful New York businesswoman ever find Christmas spirit unless she returns to her small town home and her high school crush just happens to be there, and she works to save the local bookstore that sells only Christmas books, and maybe the friendly old man who becomes her receptionist is actually Santa Claus? Right? It's a Christmas Hallmark miracle. Christmas spirit seems like kind of a mysterious word to me. Maybe it's kind of a vague sense of wellness and happiness that we get, a desire for kindness, some kind of sheen that makes everything kind of shiny and glowy. Maybe it's a feeling we chase by decorating, by baking and eating cookies and wrapping presents, and being somewhat illogically cheerful about all of it in the midst. And meanwhile, the Christmas songs keep circling around in our heads, demanding that we be jolly. Be jolly! Sure. It's kind of what it feels like sometimes. And honestly, sometimes I'm just not feeling it. Sometimes, no matter how much Christmas music I listen to, that sense of wellness just isn't there. I don't know, maybe I'm way off base. Maybe I need to ask someone with not just exegetical acumen, but also rock and roll acumen to help me with this. Irv, what do you think? What do you think about Christmas music? Got any thoughts?
Rock, faith, and pop culture is. Yeah. It's basically this.
All right. Thanks, Stacey. That was a great question. And I could share a bit about what's been on my mind this Advent season. But unfortunately, I've had this annoying little tune in my head since mid-November. It just keeps playing over and over and over again. Every year about this time, this tune returns to haunt me. When I become aware of this tune, usually when I'm humming it in public, I try to expel it from my mind by playing other music at high volumes or trying to think of another, less irritating song. This usually works and lasts for a while, but inevitably this tune comes back. Whenever I go to a store during the Christmas season, I walk out with this tune in my head. I'm sure they play other songs, but for some reason my subconscious always picks up this particular tune. I wouldn't mind so much if the song had edifying words. If it was, O come, Emmanuel, or Angels we have heard on high, that wouldn't be so bad. I would like to kind of meditate on that kind of song all day long. But instead, my head is constantly filled with words of what is arguably one of the worst Christmas songs of all time. And since I have been meditating so long on this particular song, and since this song has kept me from thinking about anything else, I thought I would just share some thoughts about it with you. So now, for your edification and delight, I would like to present a short exegetical study and enriching homily on that most annoying of Christmas songs, entitled Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, an Advent Speech. The song begins with a preamble that was probably added sometime after it was composed by a redactor who wanted to place the song in context and justify its inclusion in the corpus of Christmas carols. You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen, but do you recall the most famous reindeer of all? The song then launches into its main section where the central character is introduced and his dilemma is described. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. Who is this reindeer named Rudolph? He is known only by his distinguishing characteristic, his nose. And we are told three things about his nose. First, it was red. Secondly, the color of that nose is elaborated on. It is not simply red, it is a shiny red. And third, the intensity of this shiny red color is described. It is so shiny that it appears to glow. And because of this nose, all of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. We're not told what those names were. On a side note, and I don't want to get too technical here, but there's a version of this song that contains an echo or oral elaboration on the original text. You may have heard it. It goes something like this. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names like Pinocchio. Have you heard that? Yeah. Well, this textual variation is a very, very late addition, and I prefer to stick with the original text as I see this gloss as unhelpful commentary. There's been some solidly scholarly work being done on reindeer culture, and that indicates that Pinocchio was not part of the reindeer mythological heritage. So Pinocchio, as a term of derision, here is highly unlikely. So we don't really know what the name was. But we are not told what that name is. But we can only imagine what kind of names these cruel and sensitive reindeer directed at Rudolph. If that wasn't enough, we are told that these reindeer went even further in their mistreatment of him. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Reindeer games here is not simply referring to games. There's definitely some kind of parallel rhyming scheme here, right? Names, games. The word is not used literally here, although games, and especially reindeer games, are part of the implication. The term is intended to imply a much larger social exclusion. Rudolph is not simply pushed from the circle, the game circle, he's excluded from the entire social sphere of the other reindeer. Right? Rudolph is an archetype of the outcast. He is one of the marginalized, one of those society finds unacceptable. Then, one foggy Christmas Eve. Here comes the turning point of the song. Rudolph has reached his darkest hour. It is foggy, an image of confusion, of lostness, of depression. But it is Christmas Eve. This foreshadows what is about to come. It is Christmas Eve, and Rudolph is about to experience Christmas, a moment of grace and goodwill. Then, one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, "Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight?" Santa asked Rudolph to guide his sleigh. Was that necessary? Did Santa ask because Rudolph was Santa's only hope? Was Rudolph Santa's last resort? Surely not. This maker of toys had many resources available to him. He could have mounted fog lights on the sleigh. He might have even had access to GPS or radar, right? He did not have to pick Rudolph. Santa chose Rudolph because as an act of kindness. Why does Santa refer to Rudolph's nose as bright? There is no precedent for this term. Rudolph's nose has been described as red and shining and having a glowing appearance, but never before has been called bright. Bright is a far more positive term. Santa does not say, "Rudolph, with your nose so red, won't you guide my big old sled?" Nor does he say, "Rudolph, with your nose that shines, won't you guide us over the pines?" Santa does not even say, "Rudolph, with your nose that glows, won't you guide us through the snows?" No. Santa says, "Nose so bright." Santa sees the full potential of Rudolph's gift. In this song, Santa is the agent of grace. It is interesting to note that other than the word Christmas, the name Santa is the only religious term used in the song. Santa being a form of the word saint. The saint sees Rudolph's potential gift and gives him the opportunity to use it. Then all the reindeer loved him, and they shouted out with glee, "Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history." I always hated that ending. It should have ended something like this. Then all the other reindeer felt guilty, and they cried out with shame, "Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, sorry we ever called you names." Or even better, then Rudolph told Santa his story, and Santa got real upset. And all the other reindeer got what they deserved to get. But there is no call for retribution. There is no admission of guilt. There is no envy on the part of the other reindeer. They do not call out a spite. This unusual ending indicates that something has been left unsaid. It is obvious that Rudolph has forgiven the other reindeer for their mistreatment of him. Rudolph has been given a chance by Santa, and so Rudolph gives the other reindeer a chance. The taunt "red nose" now becomes a gleeful cry of praise. A transformation has taken place. Rudolph's weakness has become his strength. The red nose that caused Rudolph's exclusion has now become part of history. The greatest strength and gift comes out of what was the greatest weakness and embarrassment. There's a lot of important lessons in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but the most important thing I've learned as I reflect on the song is this. There's been many years in the past where I've missed Christmas. I've waited for Christmas, I've prepared for Christmas, I've been caught up in Christmas, but somehow I missed it. On December 27th or 28th, I have an awful emptiness inside. And I thought to myself, is that it? Is that all there is? How could it be that something I've waited for, something I've looked forward to, something that I prepared for, could so easily slip through my fingers? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer gives me hope about this season. If I can find traces of grace and forgiveness and transformation in a silly song like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, then perhaps, if we look for it, we may find some deeper meaning among the glitter and lights and wrapping paper of this season. Finding Christ during this season isn't a matter of going to the right places, singing the right carols, or performing the right traditions. Finding Christ is often simply a matter of opening our eyes and watching. May you find Christ this season.
Traces of grace and forgiveness even under a huge pile of tinsel. Maybe it's just a matter of opening our eyes and watching, of paying attention. Because what most non-Christ Christmas songs have in common is a deep and painful sometimes sense of longing. Rudolph's longing to find family and community and value in that family and community. Other songs speak of a longing for joy, or for home, or for love, or for peace, for kindness, for kids that behave like cherubs if you bribe them. It's just that none of the Christmassy things, or even the Christmassy spirit, can really manage to answer that longing. Not really. Real Christmas songs do answer that longing. If we really look, if we take the time to actually hear them again, instead of just having them play over a speaker in background music. If we hear them above the sound of cash registers and jingle bells. If we simply pay attention. So let's stand and sing and pay attention.
Let your glory reign, shining like the day, King of heaven come.
Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing and upholding it with justice and righteousness from that time on and forever. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this.
Redefine what our own peace and rest looks like during this time in the world. So we'll give you a few minutes to pray, and then we'll call you back with some more songs.
Because Jesus, you are the one who loves us so much that you actually moved into our neighborhood. COVID and all. You came here and you come here among us and you make your home with us. Because Jesus, your advent just wasn't a one-time thing. You continue to come among us each and every day. And you come among us bringing healing in our brokenness. And you come among us challenging dark despair with this shining hope. And you come among us silencing forever all the voices of shame and condemnation with the overwhelmingly powerful voice of your love. And Lord, as we disperse to many places over this Christmas season, you go with us. For your love truly has made its home in us, and you will never let us go. And so today we intentionally turn our faces away from the darkness towards your light. And today we deliberately choose your joy. We open our hearts, we open our lives widely and wildly to receive you, Jesus, to invite you to shine strong and bright in us. And may we reflect the joy that is ours, because Jesus, you have come. Thank you. Amen.
One, two, three.
do have one more song, but also being aware of the time, so if you do have to go, feel free. There's also free hot chocolate. This is the week of free beverages. So when you are exiting and following the arrows, as we have done flawlessly all semester, there is free hot chocolate for you then. But feel free to join us in this last song.